City, because that's where I go every time the Aggies win a football game. You want to hear something crazy? I've been doing this for 2 years, making Aggie videos, going live with the Aggies. This was the first game that I covered where A&M wins on the road. This was my first Aggie road win as long as I've been making videos here. And it feels so freaking good to finally get over that hump. We had a little Paradise City to start the show because that's where I go when the Aggies win. I started the Florida pregame live show with Who Are You by The Who because I figured we would find out exactly who the hell Texas A&M is. Going into that game, it didn't have to go that way. A lot of us were nervous, guys. A lot of us thought that this could be kind of that stamping in of some of the negative stuff we had going on over the first few weeks. And I wanted to find out who we were, and I thought we would get that versus Florida. Well, it turns out they found themselves a little bit of an identity. And of course, it's early. We're 3 games into the year. Florida is not a good football team. But A&M went out and did what you're supposed to do against the teams you're supposed to do it against. Mike Elko spoke about it today. He talked to the offensive line. He talked to the defensive line. He wants this team's identity to start in the trenches. Don't you feel like we had that this weekend? Don't you feel like that's where we won this game largely? And of course there were other standouts. You had Bryce Anderson get the pick 6 at the hands of a really good Will Lee play. You had Marcel Reed go out there and just show his talent. Smooth operator. Ran the offense really well. But damn, man, the trenches were where it was at this game. Adam Cushing, man. Round of applause for Adam Cushing. I mean, come on now. 3 years in a row, bad O-line play. He takes those same cats, the same guys, and he goes out and he just improves them, makes them better. And it traveled on the road, and we saw glimpses versus Notre Dame. We saw it versus McNeese. We didn't know if we could trust it, but it got stamped in versus Florida. Think about it. The last couple of years, you couldn't find a 5 that could get it done on the offensive line. This year, it hasn't mattered who's in there because you've lost Naboo. You lost Colino Feyu, the transfer out of Utah. Names are tough. Didn't skip a beat. You put in TJ Shanahan. You rotate in Ruben Fothery. The offensive line still plays well. Whereas last time you couldn't find a 5 that could get it done. Now you can't find a 5 that can't get it done. Just hats off to Adam Cushing. Really, it starts there. It starts with him. Colin Klein now more able to get into his bag with the offensive line playing like that. As you win, as you build saddle time with this team, Colin Klein's only going to get deeper into his bag. The offense looked better today. It can look better next week. It can look better the week after that. Same goes for the defensive line. Their most impactful game on the year for sure. Interior defensive line penetrated. Got to rushing lanes. Made things happen. Best linebacker game you've had all year. Short sample size. Not a great team, but progress. Great. Their running back. You know their starting running back? Pretty good weapon. I'm blinking on names here. Ran for over 100 yards versus Miami. You know how many yards he ran for against Texas A&M? -7. -7 rushing yards for their lead back. They ran for 50 yards overall. A&M ran for 300. That was the story of the game. Marcel Reed was the cherry on top. That game was over in the third quarter. The things we don't like were complacency late. We don't like 13 penalties. But you go into the film room with areas to improve, and you're feeling good. How are you feeling, guys? I want to hear from you. I see the chat going off. We're going to get into that in a second. This is a call-in show. We're going to do the show a little bit differently today because I'm feeling good after an Aggie win. This might be an extra long show, maybe extra jam-packed. We're going to go through the call-ins first after we say what's up to everybody in the chat. And then I want to rewatch the game with you guys. We're going to do a condensed version. We're not going to go forever. We're going to look at most of the plays of the game. I have the Skycam view because I'm a sucker that pays for ESPN Plus. We're going to watch the Skycam version of the game, and we're going to break down some of the key plays and showcase some of the key players in the game. I want to relive it. I've already rewatched it. I want to watch it again with you guys, and I'll tell you what I saw. You guys can tell me what you saw. But we're going to start with the calls. I want to give you guys a chance to reflect and tell me how you're feeling. Right now, we have bouncing 2 to 3 callers in the waiting room. The call-in link is pinned in the chat. Click that. You'll be prompted to enter that waiting room. It's super self-explanatory. If you want to keep it short, you can. If you want to talk about the game more at length, that's up to you. We'll start with that. But first, let's say what's up to everybody in the chat. I see a lot of familiar faces in there. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you. Wasn't that Saturday show so fun? I had so much fun watching the game with you guys. That was electric. We're going to do that a few more times this year. For sure, Mississippi State. For sure, Auburn. Maybe more. Maybe the Texas game will do it too. I don't know if I'm going to that. I might wait and see if tickets drop at any point. Jay Wynn, good to see you in here. Almost called the score, if not for 2 field goal misses. I had 38 to 17 or 20. You were close. I had 31-24. Nobody's making the Hall of Fame this week, but shout out to everybody who asked for or who called for over 30 points. Not everybody did that. Not everybody had that faith, and they impressed, and they were able to do that. Cody Schur in here says, howdy, good to see you, Cody. Chris Cobb in here, good to see you, Chris. David Franz in here, good to see you. Rush the Field, SB Hustler, we're so back, boys. Beat arguably the 3rd worst team in the SEC, but I'm going to ride this high for the next 2 weeks. Let's build on it, man. What we've seen is week-to-week improvement. Keep doing that, and you'll start beating better teams. And if y'all watch Kentucky, Georgia, I watched a little bit of it. I was several Gatorades deep at that point. But I saw some spineless moves from Mark Stoops to make me feel really, really glad that he didn't make it down to Aggie land. He got here, but then we ran him out of the Dixie Chicken with pitchfork and torches, and we got him out of here. So shout out to the Aggies for doing that, because that was a bad showing by Kentucky. You got to play to win, man. You got to play to win. Speaking of play to win, I see play to win waiting in the call-in room. We'll get him on in a second. Asian Persuasion, Jeb in the house, good to see you. I want to see you call in, Jeb. I want to hear from you, man. SB Hustler, yeah, if Stoops didn't play like a puss, they might have won it. Well said. Noble guy in here. We're so back, boys. John Peroni, good to see you, man. Caleb, good to see you. Who else is in here? Play to win. Shan is in here. Big ol' howdy to the boys. Howdy back at you, Shan. Ben, Capatillo, howdy. Gridiron Masters, watching Wyoming at A&M. You're feeling good. You're watching games back. I love it. I love it. Accidentally went out of the call log. I saw you were in there first, Jeb. If you get in there before I get into the first caller, we'll go Jeb, Tegan, then play to win. John Anderson in the house. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Who else is in here? Aggie Land 79. Defense can stay fresh when the offense stays on the field and puts together drives. Defense only had 59 snaps. Offense had snaps in the 70s. Dominated the time of possession. That's how you win games. Figurine Champ. Good to see you, Figurine Champ. How you feeling, man? You feeling pretty good, Figurine? I feel like you are. Gary says, no slouch team coming to Kyle. Absolutely. You have 2 manageable opponents, but not easy opponents. 2 teams that you have the opportunity to improve and win against, but you have to give your best effort. Been rewatching that Reed juke over and over. Are you moaning while you're watching it like Joe Tessitore? Joe Tessitore saw it on the replay and he goes, oh, it was awesome. I was feeling the same way as Joe Tessitore, up in my feelings. Test Channel, good to see you, man. Don't forget to click the like, folks, says Figurine Champ. If you guys get the likes up, I would greatly appreciate that. Listen to Figurine Champ. Colt McCoy ruined the Apple Cup. Colt McCoy calling his 2nd game of his career, ruining a call. Hate to see it. Reed had several defenders embarrassed. I had 27-20. You were close. You were a touchdown short. The missed field goals got you a little closer. John Anderson. Sheriff's back in here. Run the damn rock. That's what he said. That's what he said game 1 versus Notre Dame, and we did it. We did it. We all in here indeed. Adam H., good to see you, man. Your first Monday show after an Aggie road win. Exactly. First time it's happened on this channel. Amazing. Amazing. Those moans from Joe. You think we go in with Reed for Bowling Green? I would wager, without known information, that it is absolutely Marcel Reed versus Bowling Green. He gets a chance to stamp in that performance. If he recreates it, I don't see how you can take him off the field. But if it's shaky, then it's kind of a competition, in my opinion. That's how you kind of go with it. And I don't think you can really have Connor competing for it if he's not 100%. Now, if you have 100% Connor, I think you make it a competition and see what happens. But as of now, I think Reed definitely gets Bowling Green. And if he performs well, you ride the hot hand. That's how I'm feeling, and I'm sticking with it. All right, guys, we're going to get right into the calls tonight, because after the calls, we're going to go rewatch some of the game. So should be a long, jam-packed episode. Let's start with Jeb. Jeb got bounced out of the room, so he's going to be able to cut back into the line, because I saw him in there first. Jeb, man, it feels good. I think this is definitely our first time talking after an Aggie road win, and you've called in many times. Can you hear me, Jeb? Jeb, you with me? Oh, we lost Jeb. We lost Jeb. I see play to win in there, and I see Teagan. If Jeb doesn't get back in the next 20 seconds, we're going to go ahead and go straight to Teagan. Jeb, you got 20 minutes to get back into the room. Test Channel says Reed, Moss, Bussy, backfield were good. There was some cool stuff they did with Bussy. I can't wait to talk about it when we rewatch the game. Really cool stuff, motioning him out, motioning him into the backfield. Bussy was in the backfield for a couple plays in that running back slot. Stuff we talked about in the offseason, and it happened kind of how we thought it might, where he doesn't start as a running back, but you motion him in there, and he's another weapon, another dimension to the offense. Really important. How do you think the receivers did? It wasn't perfect. They showed some improvement, but it's still a work in progress with the receivers. I would still say receivers and tight ends are still very much the work in progress of the team. But it's not a lost cause by any means, especially with the dynamic threat of Reed. Ronnie Barker from Tokyo in here. Good to see you, man. All right, I got Jeb back in here. Jeb, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Before, I couldn't hear you. I don't know. I guess it was on my end.
No, I think it was me. I fixed it. I think everybody in the waiting room can hear me now. But my question, or what I was telling you was, you called in several times to this show, and this is your first time calling in after an Aggie road win. How you feeling about that?
I feel amazing. I know everyone's downplaying this win, but dude, I don't give a fuck, man. It was our first time winning in 2 years. 10-game losing streak away. We finally did it.
I know, dude. We got it done. And it wasn't like it was ugly in some ways, but how the game went, it was dominant. We took care of business.
I saw, compared to Florida, man, we played with so much more heart.
Dude.
And that's coaching. The Florida players, I know Florida is a bad team, but they're still a very talented team. They're probably not going to finish with a winning record, but you still got to respect those guys. It's not like playing Mississippi State or South Carolina.
They at least have the pieces. They at least have the puzzle pieces. They just don't have the coach.
Oh, they don't have the coach.
And here's what I've heard from like 3 different Florida fans. I've heard this exact line from 3 different fans. You have a year 1 coach looking like he's coaching a year 3 team. We have a year 3 coach looking like he's in his first game. That's how it felt.
Oh, dude, I'm missing Saturday already. I wish I could relive it again.
I think you're going to relive it again. I think there are going to be some good moments to come. I mean, here's the thing with that game. It shows you that you can manage the manageable opponents, because that's what Florida was. And that was kind of the marker we were looking at there. Because if you couldn't do it against Florida, what was the Rhode Auburn game going to look like? I mean, are they much different than Florida?
I wanted more of a convincing win. I know, like, obviously I knew we had a chance to win, but if you squeaked out a win, I was like, maybe we're okay. Like, we're okay, but we're not great.
Yeah.
But the fact that we pretty much, like, I can't remember the last time we dominated someone scoreboard-wise, stats-wise, everything-wise. Like, it was just nuts, man. And that whole entire game, it's a good feeling. Never in that point in that game, I thought we were going to lose.
I know, man. I know. It was handled. I mean, at halftime, you felt like the dominant team. We continued the trend that we had versus McNeese, and it was McNeese, so we didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
Where in the first half, you scored on every offensive possession. You got to stop on every possession. A&M did the same damn thing in the first half versus Florida.
Oh, yeah, and the weather delay kind of scared me a little bit because I kept thinking, like, oh, this might ruin our momentum a little bit. We had so much going on right now, and man, we pretty much have 3 quarterback ones on the roster, and it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem, and of course you're going to get some uncomfortable conversations going on, and the Aggie faithful are going to maybe be a little confused and controversial.
I know it was premature to say, but dude, that Notre Dame game snatched my soul, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
It snatched my soul to where, dude, we played so well that game, except for the quarterback. And yeah. I know it's very premature, and you might disagree, but when I saw that from him, I was like, when I saw that from Wigman, I'm like, dude, the way he looked petrified, the way he just didn't look comfortable, I was like, I get it, man. You're coming off an injury. You haven't played too many games, but, dude, you're a third-year player. You can't play like that.
Yeah,
and
it was
what
bad.
I saw from Reed, dude, I saw moxie. I saw the poise in a hostile environment. Even during this, I know you can't take much out of the spring game, but when I saw Reed play in the spring game, he just looked better, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get the feeling that the coaches are kind of keyed into that. Like they're not saying too much, but
these are brand new coaches, so they're gonna evaluate. I know we're all super high on Wigman, but these are brand new coaches. They're gonna, when they come in, they evaluate everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a fresh start, clean slate. And if that's the read they're getting in practice and that's what they've seen consistently, I mean, my goodness, of course they're tempted to pull that trigger.
He just elevates this offense, man. Because right now our identity is we have a good offensive line for what we think, a good running game. He just elevates it so much more because of the running game. I mean, that 2nd and 20 play where he ran for like 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, that was
Wigman's
huge.
a stud, but he's not making that.
I know, man. And Gary says it well right here. This is actually a point I made in the video I just dropped before I went live. He says, yes, our receivers have yet to play up to their ability. However, Marcel forces teams to respect his running skills, and they can't double team.
Oh, yeah. The way he scrambles and makes plays. Yeah, I mean, receiving core is definitely disappointing right now. Man, dude, Noah Thomas, I think he's a one-trick pony.
Just like a red zone threat, and that's it?
I think he's just a red zone threat. I don't think he's a guy that can really come across the field, run routes. I think he's a guy right now, I think he's like our 4th best receiver.
He might be, dude. Cyrus Allen might be the best. And here's a couple things I did like from Noah in the game. He did get a couple of end arounds, and he was productive in those. He's still underrated with the ball in his hand, so they're going to keep that going. He's a weapon there.
I like him on the jet sweeps.
He was good on those. He was good on those. And then he was blocking downfield for Cyrus Allen on that touchdown.
He's a good blocker. I will give him that. But
that was nice to see.
He's not physical, man. I just watched him. He gets bullied by corners.
Yeah.
He's a skinny guy. But
yep.
I think he's more of I like Moose over him. I think
really? Okay.
Moose has shown more.
I just don't like the blunders from Moose. Moose is good for like a bad play every now and then. If he can clean it up, though, yeah, maybe you're right. But I still feel like given where the room is at, I don't think there's a definitive enough answer to move on from Noah just yet. I still think you got to try him. Yeah. So we'll see. Any other thoughts? I have a bunch of callers, so we're trying to keep them pretty short.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that game. I went to go outside during the game, man, and I will never do that again.
Wait, what do you mean?
I was watching the game outside at like a sports bar kind of place in Austin.
Yeah.
Very much like a little Woodrow's. I don't know if you've ever been to
a
place like that. Pretty similar. It was nice, man, but dude, it was muggy out, everything. And,
miserable.
Dude, the whole quarterback battle, that's like my main topic, obviously, like everyone's topic right now.
Yeah.
But, man, it happens, dude. Injuries can set you back, dude. That's the nature of college football. Injuries can set you back. You can lose your job.
Yeah, it is what it is. And you look at Scooby Williams missed a game versus McNeese. He was healthy this game, but Sanford drew the start. And I don't know if Sanford's letting go of that outside linebacker start. He looked good. Sanford played really well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for some of you old Aggie fans, we've seen it plenty of times. I remember when Stephen McGee, one of my favorites, he got beat out when Mike Sherman came in, Gerard Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he broke a lot of the A&M passing records, but I was never a huge fan of him, but he broke a bunch of A&M passing records.
Yeah.
He took McGee's job. Ryan Tannehill, I remember that year, 2010. I was still in high school. I remember Gerard Johnson. There were talks before the season started that he might be a first-round pick, just like Connor. Right? He played terrible.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill took his job. This is kind of the same way with Wigman. I think both guys are going to play. I think they're just going to kind of see how it goes throughout the season. But I think Reed just elevates your offense way more. He brings you more for those other teams. He scares you a little bit more. You have to prep for his running ability.
Absolutely, man. It's another dynamic that has to be accounted for by the opposing team. And given our lack of major weapons right now, I think it's a really, really welcomed element.
You know who I'm disappointed that hasn't been playing that much? Micah Tease.
Yeah, he's kind of on the outside looking in. Got a couple of drives versus Notre Dame, a couple of spells, but I think the emergence of Jabri Barber and Terry Bussey are really putting him in the back burner.
Oh, man, what a surprise. We were not expecting to see him.
That was awesome.
He almost had a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he had one called back. Yeah, man, he was doing great, and, he had a lot of productive stuff out there, and he's only going to grow, so way ahead of schedule.
I hope we see Donovan Green pretty soon, too. I hope we can get him back in a couple of weeks or so.
I feel like after that mid-season bye after Missouri is when we're like, okay, if he's going to play, it's probably going to be in that zone. And if not, it might just be a wash for him.
I think you got to go with Reed, man, until you can put him on a leash, but you got to go with Reed until he does something wrong, right? I really want to see him in that Arkansas game.
Yeah.
I know we're all scared of Bowling Green right now. People are calling this a trap game. I think we're going to prepare nicely for them. I think we're not going to underestimate them.
Yeah.
We should beat them by at least 3 touchdowns.
I'm with you, man. That's how I kind of feel right now. And here's the thing. I feel like with A&M, The thing that holds A&M back this year is just their natural deficiencies. Maybe it's lack of weapons in the receiver room. Maybe it's tight end. But I don't think what holds A&M back is looking past games. I don't think that's what Elko's going to allow. I trust Elko in that front.
I think people are going to think this game's going to be close. I was kind of like that for a minute. And it very well may be a close game, but
right.
I think we're gonna play our best, and we're gonna beat them by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think if you watch that Penn State game, I know it was close, but in the second half, Penn State pretty much obliterated them.
Yeah, man. I feel like we'll have a chance to do that, but we'll have to see how they get ready.
Are you gonna live stream this weekend or no?
I probably won't be able to. I haven't out of town this weekend. There's an off chance I will. I'll let you guys know, but it's probably an off weekend for me.
You're out of town every weekend.
Not when I'm live streaming. Not when I'm live streaming. All right, Jeb. Any closing thoughts? I gotta get to the next guy.
Yeah, man. I'm excited going. I'm looking for that Arkansas game.
Yep.
I think if we just play bully ball against Bowling Green, it should be an easy win. Kyle Field at night. Come on, it should be an easy win.
Yeah. I agree. Well, all right, Jeb, man. I appreciate the call. You have a good night.
You too.
Later. All right, guys. You have to give me 1 minute. My dog got out, so I have to go put him away. I'll be right back. Literally 1 minute. Sorry about that. Let's get into the next caller. All right. Tegan, you're on with Drew. How you feeling, man?
Hey, man. How you doing? I am doing fantastic tonight. How does it feel to actually watch Texas A&M have an identity in a football game, let alone on the road?
It's crazy, man. Like the organization, the camaraderie, playing as a team, complimentary football. I mean, we've been begging for that stuff, haven't we? And it all just came together, man. It's incredible. I haven't really, like I said, I haven't gotten on a show and talked about that kind of a game since I've been doing this. It feels incredible. I know it was Florida, but we've played worse against worse teams before.
Well, let's also not act like game day wasn't 50-50 on it. Let's not also act like Texas A&M hasn't been known to extend the jobs of other coaches before. We've seen this story time and time again. And I'm not one to, subscribe to the BAS type of mentality, but there is a little bit when it comes to the, extending a coach, almost like Fisher, the referee for extending series. That's just what A&M has done in the past. And it really does feel good knowing that we came in organized, we came in fired up. There was more energy. Like Florida's not a deficient team when it comes into talent. They have plenty of talent. Even with Trey Wilson out, like, do I agree with their rotation of quarterbacks? And that's part of the reason where I feel Texas A&M needs to make a definitive decision on at least a quarterback within the 2 weeks, because you don't want to go into the bulk of an SEC schedule rotating quarterbacks. I love Connor. I've made video after video talking about Connor, but I like Marcel, man. I like how he fits a lot better. It's a 1-game sample size, but I know you've talked about it, but do you think if it's a healthy competition and you were to guess, who do you think they would go with?
Man, I'm honestly just reading the tea leaves, reading between the lines. I'm starting to become convinced that this team wants it to be Marcel Reed. That's given the personnel you have on offense. Look, if you had receivers that were out there just winning one-on-one matchups, beating their man, I think Connor might be the better fit, system fit, player fit. But given where we're at in the receiver room, given what Colin Klein is, given what we saw from Marcel and what I think these coaches have been seeing from Marcel, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, man. I really think so. Even when Connor is close to 100%, it's going to be a competition, man. And I have a feeling that Marcel's going to take it. I think we're going to see a competition of some capacity over the next couple of weeks, whether that's Marcel versus a healthy Connor or just Connor becoming healthy. We're going to see some sort of development there. It's going to be a work in progress. I think we need to approach it with an open mind, but I just think he adds that element to the offense that you need given where your receivers are at, man. How do you feel?
No, I completely agree. I spent time trying to understand Klein's scheme, especially going into this year. And I saw a Twitter thread diving into what he prefers in a quarterback. And it's also in the back of my mind that if we had not gotten Colin Klein, what was the trajectory at Kansas State? They were moving off of a guy like Will Howard. And I think Connor is easily more talented than Will Howard. But
yes,
they were going to Avery Johnson for a reason. And at the end of the day, what we've seen with just play callers, even in I don't know if you watch the NFL a lot, but like we saw what just happened with Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell. Having a great play caller that matches to your skill set makes all the world of a difference. And it breaks my heart because I think Connor's an NFL quarterback. I think he has the talent to be an NFL quarterback. So I just don't think it was a good pairing. Now, I believe Connor can still cook in this scheme, but I also think with the schedule that we have, I would want to ride the momentum. Now, if Marcel comes into Bowling Green and does not light up the world as he probably should and look really poised, especially pushing the ball downfield, I think we can definitely adjust our expectations, but we're definitely riding the high of it. But I would, if he cooks,
yeah,
and Connor's not 100% right, I don't love the idea of a rivalry game. Like I will be in AT&T Stadium, and I think you and I both know Arkansas, although over time the result has gone over our way, it's also a close game.
Yeah,
it just is. And if we're in a situation where Taylon Green, decides, because I think he's the biggest wild card in the entire SEC, one day he could throw 4 touchdowns, the next day he throws 4 picks. If we're in a shootout, I feel a lot more comfortable that Marcel Reed can make plays to keep up in a shootout versus I have not seen Connor in a fluid offense in quite a long time. And that's partially not his fault. It's just the injury. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you heard if that injury occurred on that sneak? Did you see that rumor?
So I heard initially that it was the sneak, but the ESPN replay, when they announced the injury and they were describing the injury, they showed a different play. It was like a quarterback power more than a sneak. It wasn't the actual sneak play that we all kind of thought it was, where you had the procedural penalty on the receivers. It wasn't that play. It was something at the goal line where he was in a shotgun look and he kind of ran a power. And I think that's where it happened. So he played maybe half of that game with the shoulder situation. But you mentioned seeing how things go versus Bowling Green with Reed. I want to make sure the Reed we got versus Florida is indeed the Reed we get week to week, and that's why that Bowling Green is very important. I think that's where you see that. If he builds on it or recreates it, I think that's where you really, kind of stamp in that you're going to feed that hot hand. And yeah, even if we're high on Connor Wigman, which we both are, why would you fix something that's not broken that's going so well? Why would you even change your philosophy at that point if it's working for you? Even if you think Connor has this upside, and I think he does, why change it if it's working so well?
Exactly. And also I think it is a little bit of pressure knowing that this schedule, I mean, we said it before the season, nothing has changed. And especially knowing that, I'll be honest, we can all say it, we got our mojo back. That's what we feel like right now. And now we look down the line, obviously take it one game at a time, especially with the context of the quarterback situation. But I've called Texas A&M's schedule a 4-chapter schedule. What team does this team become from Notre Dame to Missouri? And if whatever the results from Missouri happen, say it's a win, are we a team that flies too close to the sun and 2 weeks we end up losing to LSU at home? Or are we a team that stays consistent and rides that momentum? Are we a team from LSU to Texas that looks ahead at Auburn? And I don't think Elko is that coach to let this team do that. I think the previous head coach, he who shall not be named,
right,
would let us get into that position. But this is what I have the biggest fear about, is just flip-flopping quarterbacks. We saw what happened with Florida. I would definitely ride the hot hand, but not to completely pivot, because I know the call show is going to be a lot about the quarterback position. But remember a lot of people talking about how, 180 yards on the ground was a big concern about us.
Yeah.
Now what do they got to say?
I know, man. 52 yards, I think it was. Starting running back held a -7. I mean, They stamped that out pretty quickly. And that was a huge talking point, man. Even the McNeese game left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Even though that starting or that core of your defense played like 15 snaps each, it was still a concern coming out of McNeese. And we were saying pump the brakes. And they were indeed pumped versus Florida. So hopefully they can build on that, man. And you make a great point about this kind of being a chapter-divided season. What I've seen in this first stanza, this first chapter, is game-to-game improvement. And that can't stop. That has to continue. Because what you have right now in this next quarter of your season, these next 3 games, are winnable games where you can improve. Now, you can go out and win ugly versus Bowling Green. But where does that really get you? It's a game you're supposed to win anyway. You got to really stamp in what you found versus Florida. So same thing goes for Arkansas. Like you said, scary game, no matter what the outcomes have been. You've always felt like there was a path for losing those games within pretty much every one of those games that has happened since we've joined the division, the league. So you really, really need to stamp things in, hone it in the practice, and we're kind of humming the same tune here. I believe Elko's the guy to at least get that done.
I mean, it's the Arkansas job. I understand they looked, decent and fumbled the bag against Oklahoma State. That could be another situation where you have a coach fighting for his job. I mean, I've made the prediction time and time again that they're most likely going to go with Petrino at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I think they're going to be in another position where they're going to be what Josh Pate likes to call wounded animal mode. And I think that's not a game that you can go into not knowing your quarterback. And the biggest thing, and this is the biggest point I want to, drive home is, well, 2 things. We've both established that I think if they went with Connor, I would be more than confident that he is capable to put off a lot of wins on the schedule. But on the flip side, I don't want a short leash. I want both of these quarterbacks, if you end up going with them, that they're not feeling like if I throw a pick on this drive, if I go 3 and out back-to-back times, that they're going to get pulled because they're not going to play loose. And I think both of these quarterbacks play at their best. And there will be mistakes, but they will play at their best when they know that there's not someone behind their shoulder that could potentially take their job within the game. Do you agree?
100%, man, 100%. And we saw the opposite of that versus Florida to an even lower degree than that, where they were just set on flip-flopping quarterbacks every drive, and they couldn't ride the hot hand that was Graham Mertz. That was what was working for them. And we don't want to fall in that trap, or worse, where they're looking over their shoulder, wondering if it's a permanent move or something could happen. That would be a disaster. And on Arkansas being in wounded animal mode, what really sucks for Florida is they were absolutely in wounded animal mode, and they got that performance and that outcome. That's a tough look for Billy Napier. So last point that I want you to make, kind of off topic, who do you think the first coach to be let go is this year?
And I understand Billy Napier's probably the easy answer, and they're most likely trying to just, figure out what's the best timing of it, especially knowing you've had 2 sets of recruits come into that stadium, and both of the opposing teams have thrown equipment and told them to go visit their school. But yeah. I'll rock with Sam Pittman. Honestly, I think Arkansas was close to doing it last year, and they pulled the horse, or they pulled the reins back, and they ended up saying, we're going to go the Bobby Petrino route. And I think by the end of the year, we're going to start looking at, if you hire Bobby Petrino, that might be your last desperate wish before getting fired. And I've tracked this the whole time that Bobby Petrino is going to probably be the coach for Arkansas. That's just in the stars. And so I'm going to go with Sam Pittman, just because I don't know what their schedule looks like coming up, but I assume after us, it's not going to get any easier for them.
Yeah. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. They're set up to kind of make that transition more smoothly. Whereas, like you said, with Florida and their recruiting and their schedule coming up, I mean, what kind of situation are you throwing a would-be head coach into? And on top of that, who's available mid-season? So Florida's in a really, really tough situation. I think they have to wait it out a little bit, whereas Arkansas can kind of make that move. But all right, Tegan, that was a great call, man. I really appreciate you. Made some great points, gave us all stuff to think about, man. Do you want to plug your channel real quick while you're on?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And Drew, I mean, I know we got some potential stuff down the line planned, but I do want to shout out, if you haven't seen in the chat, I am Rush the Field. I've posted like A&M content before. I do mostly college football, so if you just want a holistic talk about college football with a slight A&M bias, I won't hide it. Go check out Rush the Field on YouTube. It would mean the world, any support that you guys can give, and get them likes up for Drew. He does fantastic work, and you can see as clear as day, this man puts in a lot of grind and a lot of work into his craft. And so go give him all the love. You're here anyways. It's just one click away.
Man, I appreciate that, Rush the Field, and y'all give him support too, man. I hope to hear back from you in the future, and we'll get something going on in the future on your side of things. Have a good night, man.
You too, man. See ya.
Great call, guys. Great call. Got some compliments in the chat too. I would stop to read the chat, but we have calls piling up, and I do want to get into game film, so we're going to move right along. Thank you guys for being here. Play to Win, you're on with Drew, man. How you feeling tonight? I'm sure you're feeling good, Play to Win.
I'm like everybody in the chat room, and everybody's following you right now, watching, man. I'm just high. I'm high on the A&M Aggies.
I know it, man. I know. How, man, it's been a while since they made us feel this good after a road win, man. It's been a little bit, so it's a little bit of a refresher. It's a good win. It's a positive trend early in the year. What are your biggest takeaways? What are you looking at right now, Play to Win?
Yeah, the 10-game curse is broken.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe because Fisher's gone and we got Coach Elko now. A lot of takeaways, you know, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of players that did great. Especially with Reed, when he rushed out the delayed blitz on a long run, he got us out of the shadow of the goalpost at the beginning of the game. Moose Muhammad, the crossing route, hit him across. It was a perfect pass. Noah Thomas on the jet sweep. And then read through against the grain to Trey Watson over the middle, man. That was a great catch, and that was a great game.
Flowing against the blitz, yes, man.
Yes,
I know.
Yes. Colin calls a screen that did get called back, and we ended up having to kick a field goal, but that was the first points of the game. Let's see, Le'Veon Moss, that was a rush to the 35-yard line. Once again, got us out of the shadow of the goalpost. Randy Bond, he's going to have to work on his field goals. I mean, he left 6 points out on the field. We needed him on the scoreboard, but he knows we'll do better next game. Le'Veon Moss around the goal line. It was a nifty little run. He got us out. I mean, we're playing in a driving rainstorm in the swamp, and that's going to come up here in a minute when we get the stats. And that was a big plus for us. Cyrus Allen, when he caught that run for a TD, man, down the sideline, man, awesome. E.J. Smith doing his job, contributing to the team. Bryce Anderson tip drill.
Oh, yeah.
He took it down the sideline for a touchdown.
Shout out to Will Lee getting that tip.
Yes. That's the tip drill. That was perfectly executed, textbook. And something his Uncle Ryan showed me one day. His Uncle Ryan played for Lamar University, and he showed me a video of the same thing. A tip drill. He ran it down the sideline, the right sideline for a touchdown. I said, well, like uncle, like nephew.
Yeah.
That was funny. He showed me that. But anyway,
that's awesome.
And then Amari Daniels, his play production was great.
Yes, it was. What a quality backup, man. I mean, he could be a starter.
Oh, no, most definitely. I agree. Then we get to the stats of the game. We had 27 first downs. That's spectacular. On third downs, we were 5 out of 13. On fourth downs, we were 2 out of 2. Our total yard production was 488 yards. Marcel Reed's passing, he was 11 out of 17. His pass production was 10.5 yards. I mean, we're talking first down.
Yep.
Our rushing production was great. The offense rushed for 310 yards out of 55 attempts. And the yards per rush for 5.6, that's significant because now you're looking at 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, to make your first down. I mean, after the first down, you get 5.6 yards. You want to be in that down situation where you're 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5.
Right. And that high yards per carry number is not at the hands of just one explosive 80-yard run. That was a constant burn throughout the game. They were consistently getting chunks on the running game.
It was, all across our play. Yeah, it was consistent all across. It wasn't just one tailback.
Right.
And speaking of, we got 3 tailbacks, and one of them is disguised as a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 if you count the son of Emmitt Smith. I have to say that because you can't say E.J. Smith without saying the son of Emmitt. He's quality too, man. He had some good moments. I can't wait to show you guys one of his plays this game that was both awesome and hilarious. We'll bring that up in a minute.
Yeah, it was just across the board, man. Our offense was we were hitting on all cylinders. And here's some of the keys to the game. 0 turnovers. There was no fumbles. There were no interceptions. In a driving rainstorm at times, we were playing out there at the swamp, and that is a tough crowd.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is a tough stadium.
They got to us in the first drive. We had a couple of procedurals, and we worked right through it. Got back on the horse and made a big drive out of it.
Yes, and that comes to penalties. We were 13 penalties for 110 yards. And you got to keep looking. We're going to have 5-yard, false starts. That's fine. We're going to have them. It's going to happen 5 yards here, 5 yards. That's fine. But when it comes to, personal fouls, it comes to, targeting, we lost a guy because of it. It wasn't intentional, but,
right.
That's the way the referee saw it. And that's what it looked like. But, we got to keep the 5 yards, minuscule. Penalties.
Yep. And on that targeting, after they had the booty targeting on the guy who tackled Noah Thomas, I knew they were going to call that Dalton Brooks a targeting based on how they were calling it in the game. Because remember that one where Noah got, hit with the crown right on the butt cheek, and they called that targeting. I didn't know that could be targeting. I mean, it was, but apparently that's the new rule anywhere with the crown now. So they're more dialed in with that than ever. Yeah,
they're definitely, protect the players. We just can't, that could have really, you saw how his back bent backwards.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
I said, oh no. Luckily he's 18, 19, 20 years old. They can handle that. But that is a tough hit, man. When you whiplash like that back on.
Just wrap up. Just wrap up.
Yeah.
Just follow the rules.
Yeah, wrap up. Right. It's just things you got to go over. That's what practice is for. We're gonna work the bugs out. We're gonna work it out. And another big key to the game is time of possession. We were 37 minutes and 46 seconds holding the ball to Florida's 22 minutes and 14 seconds. That's a big deal. You got to have that football to score. You got to hang on to that football. And that's what we did.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
We showed them. We look like a national championship team out there.
Well, for one Saturday, but that's got to continue versus teams that aren't Florida.
Well, of course, we all know that. We've got to go on to, and we don't look ahead to the University of Texas. It's all about Bowling Green from today until this next Saturday when we play them. It's all about Bowling Green.
Absolutely, man. It's all about week to week, game to game improvement, man. That's what it's about right now. You showed it on film for one game. That doesn't mean how it is the whole season. You've got to continue. You've got to stamp it in. You got to fix the penalties. We got burned by play action. That was probably our biggest, competitive weakness in the game, was where they could kind of get us was in play action. We got to dial that in, have some new players in the secondary now thanks to some injuries. So, man, we got to dial some stuff in, but you're able to dial it in after you won a game. So
that's what I'm about to get to the injury report. That's again, it's upsetting. Tariq Chappelle, he's out for the season because of a lower body injury.
Right.
Mark Abaye, we already lost him, our starting center, and then Coley Fayu, our backup center, got injured. So we're gonna have to wait Thursday to find out if it's going to be questionable or if he's going to be out of the game. Because man, we got to have him.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to have a ball handler. We got to have a guy that knows how to hike that ball. We need him, and it's gonna come down to Thursday to find out if he's questionable, which he could play Saturday, and hopefully he does, or if he's out, he's not playing. So Thursday will tell us. Where we're at with everything on the injury list. So that's about all I have.
That was great, man. That was some good stuff. Yeah, man, it's going to be about week-to-week improvement. You have to make this Saturday performance something that you build on and not the anomaly, but I do trust Elko to get that going. So play to win. That was a great call, man. I'll hear from you next time.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too. Later. All right, guys, we're going to cap the calls at Theo right now. We have 3 more callers waiting, and then we're going to get into rewatching the game, zooming into some plays. Want to rewatch some of this stuff and point some things out to you guys that we saw and give you guys a chance to react to some plays. Let's get to the next caller. Rich, you're on with Drew. How you feeling, man?
Hey, what's going on? I'm feeling good. How are you?
Doing great, man. I think both of your keys to the game ended up coming true, didn't they, in the right way for us?
Right? I was thinking about that. I said whoever's able to impose their will on the rushing game early is going to win that. And, man, the first drive, it started with Marcel out of all of our rushers to kind of show, like, hey, we can get moving here.
Yeah, man. He was the first to do it. We got backed up on that first drive, 2nd and 21, couple of penalties, and he's the one that kept it moving, man. That first drive was somewhat of a struggle, but really that was probably Marcel Reed's best drive overall. He kind of just got us out of a couple of holes there. He had that 3rd down conversion to Moose on the crossing route too that was pretty clutch, float away from some blitzes. Huge drive by Marcel to set the tone.
Yeah, and everybody is talking about this quarterback situation, and it's almost like a you almost get this cloud of like there's like an anxiety about it. However, I'm just so happy about it. I don't feel like we're in a Haynes King, Max Johnson situation. We are in a situation where I would have loved to see a healthy Connor behind that offensive line on Saturday. I'm not taking anything away from Marcel. I look at Saturday's game as like, wow,
Yeah.
like this is a depth that like, and I'm not saying like, oh, they're too bad, but like for him to go in the swamp and did what he did in his own way was very impressive. But just, I think we're in a position that, look, again, I'd love to see Connor behind that line and healthy, but I think I trust the coaches. I really do. And you can tell that just seeing what they've done with the offensive line is just a night and day. Like, I don't think we deserve that big of a flip in that line so far. And so I trust them. And, I'd say the one thing about Saturday, which I think is getting everybody giddy, as an Aggie fan, that I don't think people are realizing is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but did that win, being that it broke that losing streak of 10, did that win not put the nail in the coffin of we have fully ended the Jimbo era and now we're in the Elko era?
I think that's a great kind of, what's the word, like emblematic moment of that, right? I think that is like the indicator that you're fully past that, I think. And I think on top of that, it's the week-to-week improvement, and it's improving upon where you're good and fixing where you're kind of deficient and showing that you're capable of doing that on the road. So, yeah, man, that's a good point. I think so, because that was the one thing he hadn't gotten right in 3 years. So, I think that's a really good marker, man. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I thought about it, and I'm like, well, we only won by 13. It was definitely, the score is much closer in the game. It could have been worse, but, it's just like there's something about it. It's not just the 10.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we can drop the whole nervousness of we blow it here, we never do this. Like, no, like I said last week, I think Le'Veon Moss is your typical Alabama running back that goes in the NFL and does well.
Yeah, man.
And I think we have that. And he's only going to get better. He was phenomenal in the Florida game. Amari Daniels, I don't know about the NFL. All I know is what a compliment. And a side by side, even not, it's just, they go so well together. And then EJ Smith, got to give you credit. I keep getting notifications from Twitter because one of your posts that I commented on got like 1.2 million views or something on his cut.
Yeah, I saw you blew up too on there. You were riding that high as well. Yeah, that was a cool cut, man. It was a kind of a comical looking play, but he actually made an amazing cut. He pivoted on a dime and then he accelerated on a dime. It was a really cool play.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that in the game, but man, it's a hell of a third string cut right there in a big time game.
I know, man. You know what was really cool in the game? I don't know if you saw this post. We had 2 drives over 90 yards in the game. And on both of those drives, they used all 3 running backs rotating. So I think it was literally 2 handoffs each. It was Moss, Amari, Reed, EJ, Moss, Amari, EJ, Moss. And those 2 drives, I think they only passed twice between those 2 drives. You just kept fresh legs out there, running behind a very effective offensive line. All 3 running backs showed patience and, just good instincts, finding the space, finding the gap, whether it was a zone blocking scheme or a gap blocking scheme. And none of them really skipped a beat. I know Moss has the most upside, has the most ability in the room, but they all have tools that you can use, especially when your offensive line's playing like that. It's such a luxury. And they were splitting them out wide. They were moving them around. They could do a lot of things with them.
Yeah. You know what? I have a theory just based on everything you just said, especially if Reed becomes more of a long-term or, if Connor doesn't get better or however it pans out. I don't see Reed like just sitting the rest of the season if Connor's healthy. But Reed's out for the year. With Reed at QB with 3 backs that are fully capable, moving like crazy, with Jabri Barber back, with Cyrus Allen, with Moose. You got a lot of slot type receivers, and Noah Thomas running the ball back there. It kind of feels like we've been trying to get Bussy involved, but it's just so crowded with talent in that type of part of the game that with Reek out, wonder if Elko was, talking about maybe trying to get Bussy involved at nickel and trying to see what he can do on defense.
That's a really, really good point, because what Elko said today was that in that nickel, whoever's in the slot into nickel might not be the name you expect, and it might be someone who is a typical corner. And I think Bussy was playing at corner. So that's a really, really good point to bring up. It sounds like they're going to fade Bravion, that Bravion maybe needs another year of development. And then it sounded like they were going to slide a corner over there. And with what you're getting at, and we're putting this all together right now on the fly, the Bussy could definitely be an option there. That's a really good point, man.
Yeah, I mean, didn't it feel like in the game, like it's just they're trying to fit Bussy in, but there's just a lot going on with our talent in that type of role.
Yeah. I think there's still room, because 7 guys got carries this game. If you're controlling the ball, you're gonna have
There's
a lot of
still room.
handoffs.
They could still get him another 65-yarder in a couple weeks.
Right.
But I'm wondering, are they seeing something at him on defense that they're like, well, I think there's some things to peel back, unfold there that we might be very pleasantly surprised with, that he can actually go full-time there, be on the field every play, and make more of an impact.
Absolutely, man. That's definitely on my watch list now. That's a really good point. And I wonder who the other options are there. You have a 3-headed monster right now that's rotating at corner. Your starters are Javen Thomas and Will Lee, and then you have Des Ricks coming off the bench. So it could be one of those guys moving into a nickel role. But then after that, you haven't really seen anybody get thrown out there. You have a lot of safeties. I mean, maybe a Miles Davis could slide down. Maybe a Ratcliffe could slide down. Maybe a Dalton Brooks could. But he did say a corner today in the presser. So definitely on my watch list. And that's a great point, man.
Yeah, and again, I don't know, just a theory and a thought, but
yeah,
nothing to go off of there. But yeah, no, I mean, all in all, this game was just a very one. It was great. I was in Gainesville, and all my family, my sisters went to Florida, so they were just distraught. They were very. I will say, and I got family. They are very entitled fan base. They think,
right.
They really think that they should be going to the national championship every year, but they're great. It's a great atmosphere. They're into it. It's awesome. But this game just kind of showed us where we needed to look good to have hope for the season being promising. We brought it. We stopped the run. We knew we could. It was kind of weird with, Notre Dame and the second half of McNeese, but we knew we could. It was just one of those games that if you follow the guys in terms of their progression, in terms of certain plays they've had in the years past, it was one of those games that it just kind of showed you, yes, those guys are capable of that. Shamar Stewart is capable of just looking like an absolute monster. Bryce Anderson and Will Lee. I mean, that combo, the secondary is just looking everything's looking more and more promising. And my hope is we look back at August 31st and say, yeah, you need, it's the first year coach and this and that, and we're looking at a successful season for whatever that means. But looking ahead, I'm hoping, and I think it's absolutely doable in every way. Of, hey, we're 4-1 and Missouri's 5-0 going into Kyle Field, and let's get the attention back and show hey, we're put together now, and we got more weapons, whether it's Connor or Reed. I think hey, the coaches know what's going to go on, and I think we're going to see it all come together, which that's my hope. But I really do feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. It's a really good point you bring up about this staff being able to get guys who we've expected it out of to show it. You said Shamar Stewart. Before we lost Chappelle, he was one of those guys too. You look at the right tackle position, where I thought it was going to be a big hole on the offensive line potentially this year. It hasn't been perfect, but I thought both Crownover and Fothery have been more than serviceable. They've been solid. They haven't been these huge detriments like we thought they could have been. And, guys like Shanahan has just taken a step up after his freshman year, and guys are just performing. The running backs too. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. But all right, Richmond, I appreciate the call. I hope to hear back from you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Later. And another point about that running game and kind of finding out what you need to do to win, and A&M largely finding that versus versus Florida. An interesting note about this offense. Remember that 73-yard touchdown pass to Cyrus Allen? Why am I saying remember? Of course you remember it. That play. That was a play-action play. You know how many play actions we've run this year under Colin Klein? If you guess, you're probably wrong. It's probably less. Only 6 play actions per PFF so far this year. By game 3 for Kansas State last year, they had run 26 play actions. You're establishing a run right now. You're kind of gearing that play action up. And whenever you need it in a big game, it's going to be there for you. It worked in that very small sample size versus Florida. Keep an eye on that. Only 6 so far this year. All right, I see a lot of people in the chat. Let's just catch up real quick. Good to see you, Truffle Shuffle. Football fans are bipolar. 1 week their season's over, next week they're on cloud 9. Well, that's Aggie football for you right there, baby. Aggie's recruiting expert, good to see. We played Notre Dame close for 58 minutes. Absolutely, man. We had them to 13 points with about 3 minutes left in the game. And you were probably one level quarterback play away, like one level higher quarterback play away from winning that game. And you play again later in the year, who knows what happens. Good to see you, Wrecking Crew 07. Little Shy in here. Who else is in here? Timothy Wood. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Let's get to the next couple of callers because I want to go through some plays from the game, show them on the screen live with you guys so we can check them out. Theo, you're on with Drew, man. How you feeling, Theo? What are your big takeaways?
Oh, that running game.
I know it,
Not
man.
really. The offensive line. They really showed something this week that I thought was there and had been shown since the Notre Dame game. Like, I saw it clear as day in the Notre Dame.
Uh-oh, Theo, you're doing the thing where you cut out. Theo, we have nothing from you right now. All right. Theo, I'm going to move on, and then I'll get you back in after Noble Guy. Your mic is cutting out. We'll give you a chance in a second, Theo. Noble Guy, you're on with Drew. How you feeling, Noble?
Oh, I'm that bipolar fan everyone was talking about.
That's you?
Yeah, I'm sky high right now.
Yeah, you were feeling bad after Notre Dame. You were in the dumps, man. You were mowing your lawn on game day. You were doing chores instead of watching games, and now you're all in again.
Yeah, I mean, I was down after McNeese too because I didn't think it told us much, and quite frankly, I thought we won McNeese just because we simply out-talented them, but this is the first time I saw what an organized offensive attack looked like. It looks like we have an identity now. Like before, it looked like we were just pounding the rock against Notre Dame for like some yards. We had a decent run game against Notre Dame, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Also, and McNeese, we just wore on them after a while, which isn't a great litmus test for anything. But here we not only ran the ball extremely well, but Marcel Reed. Let me just say I was not familiar with your game.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I made a comment at the beginning of the season about Colin Klein potentially using a 2 quarterback somehow. I did not anticipate it was going to be like this, but damn, I love this problem we have.
I know, man. And you feel like this coaching staff is one to kind of navigate it the right way and not kind of get yourself stuck into the act. I've been using the word controversy just because that's what people typically label this kind of thing as. But I trust this staff to not make it a controversy. They're going to handle the important stuff internally. We won't hear publicly exactly what the mindset is and what the thought process is. And I trust them. And we shouldn't hear it. You're right. We shouldn't hear what's going on internally. That's their business.
I think what will help a lot is like Colin Klein just had to deal with this last year. Will Howard was the established guy, and then they decided to move to, I think it was, the underclassman, Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
Better for the system. And I heard someone say this before. I don't know, how I think Connor still has a big part of this team. And I think, like Marcel Reed, I think you got to start him, but the way I love the way he runs and the way he's athletic, but at 180 pounds, if he keeps running like that, he's not going to last the season.
He wasn't really sliding, was he? He was kind of just getting crumbled. A little bit of Jalen Daniels like that.
But unless you're like a Joe Burrow Jane Daniels. Like, I mean, Jane Daniels got murdered on some.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He was looking like that, and he's about the same size. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. But I think going back to the team and the game overall, I'm gonna, we're not excited that we think that A&M is now a top 10 team. It's the fact that we passed our first test, because Notre Dame, we didn't pass the test, and McNeese didn't tell us anything. But we finally beat a road team, a conference, got a conference win on the road team, and we looked good doing it. We would have settled for a win, but I mean, hell, we looked good. We're about to be the reason why they're gonna fire a coach.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of the other way around. Yeah, man, and that's a good point. You could have gone out and won ugly by like 3 points, and we would have been fine. Like, okay, we survived. We're kind of pushing off these answers. What's gonna happen? Are we gonna be a struggle throughout the year? But they did it definitively, and that's why we feel so good right now. We would have felt good with just any win, because you survived to fight another day. It's a work in progress, but you really feel like you took a step, right?
Oh yeah. I think and another thing was, for example, like it's going to be seem unconnected, but I promise I'll draw it back. So
that's good.
Shout out to Texags and Lucci for stopping the Mark Stoops hire, because I think you could see in the way that the games went down Saturday, what kind of coaches they are. Like when we were 4th and 5 on the Florida 38 yard line, it was still the second quarter. We were only up 13-0. We went for it.
Yeah.
And then while Mark Stoops with a chance to beat Georgia at home, punts it on 4th down.
I know, man. That was spineless. I hated it. And I was talking to someone on Twitter about how they didn't like how Elko went for 2, got a little bit too aggressive there. Just like a nitpick. It wasn't like someone condemning Elko or anything like that. It was an honest conversation. And I said, well, I'd honestly rather him show that aggression and show a little bit too much aggression than none at all. Because how many times were we going into the half with Jimbo last year and we didn't see any effort to manage the clock or try to get an opportunity? I mean, we've seen that in short order with Elko, and I love to see stuff like that. And I would hope that when the game's on the line, he would make the right call, and I think he will.
Especially coming from a defensive-minded coach, you think that, hey, he's not going to take a whole lot of risks and chances.
Yeah.
You know what? And I think he's making his decisions, just letting Colin Klein make the calls at quarterback or the offensive calls.
Yeah, all Elko says is run the freaking ball. That's all he has to say.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I think as far as how Marcel does the rest of the year, I think Florida's defense, like, they have the talent. They're kind of like, honestly, like a worse version of us last year. Like, at least at this point last year, it didn't feel like our season was over. Florida's season's over 3 games into the season.
Yeah, man.
But they have all the talent they need, except for on the line of scrimmage, I will say. That's what's going to ultimately get Billy Napier fired, because it didn't matter who they rolled out at quarterback. They were screwed from the get-go because we dominated them. Another shout-out to I think it's already been said many times, but it can't be stated enough. What a great job Coach Cushing has done.
I know,
flipping
man.
O-line on his head. I think they took it personally, and they watched highlight reels of 4 different quarterbacks getting hurt last year.
Hell yeah.
And they're like, we're not we didn't get sacked once. I don't think Marcel got sacked once.
No, he didn't, man. It was great protection, and every time he was hot or had a blitz, he got out of there, man. And that was the beautiful part about it. I mean, they played complementary to each other.
Yeah, I think the next part of Marcel's game I'm going to be interested in seeing is because he handled the blitz extremely well, way better than the freshman, because, you typically, you see a freshman in the game, light him up, see how he does against the pressure. Okay, so if that doesn't work anymore, eventually they're going to stop blitzing him, and I want to see how he does as, reading the coverages and, is he able to place balls in the places where they need to be when
absolutely
time and they drop back.
Yeah,
because I will say that was one part of Connor's game we're pretty familiar with. If you give him time, or he can make his own time, he'll put the ball in the right place. We don't know if Marcel can do that just yet, but that's why I think both these guys are still going to be very important to the team. It's not going to be a Florida situation where we rotate quarterbacks every drive, but it's going to be more fluid than that, and it's going to work. I have a confident feeling like they're going to sort their QB situation and make it work somehow.
Yeah, I really think that Reed gets Bowling Green, and they just make their decision based on that progression. If he's the same Reed and he can recreate it, I'm pretty sure they're not going to change it. Even if Connor, I know what Connor represents. We know how good he is. But at that point, when you're cruising, I just don't know if you can change it. I feel like that's what they're going to do. I could be proven wrong, and I would welcome it. I would give Connor a chance. And there was a play in the game where I thought, okay, Connor would have made that play. But because that was Connor's skill set, this play I'm going to bring up to you guys in a minute. But, yeah, man, Reed was solid. And one of the underrated aspects of what Reed did that I really liked was that he just got the offense running, man. I mean, not even playing, just getting the offensive line, getting plays in and out, just standing back up, getting back on the horse. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it looked like Kansas State's offense.
Yeah. And I loved how when they got the big plays, they were pushing it and they ran hurry up off of your hot plays. So whenever there's a big gain, they're running the line of scrimmage, doing a handoff, trying to catch the defense on their heels. And that was part of the strategy. Whereas, they ran it like a typical modern offense. They kind of slowed it down on the short gains, huddled when they had to. But when they got momentum, they kind of tried to ride that. And that was really a trademark of a Colin Klein offense. And I love to see that. And Reed operated it so well.
I think part of it is as well is the fact that we don't have we have average wide receiver weapons right now, and quite frankly, teams know they can drop back and cover us because the receivers aren't going to get open on their own. With Marcel, he's going to threaten to run. You can't just stay in man coverage all day against him, or he's going to turn, or he'll get his yardage that way. It seems like he's just more of a willing runner. Not like we all know Connor's a capable runner. But similar like Kellen Mond, who was also a capable runner, who didn't feel like he could run enough.
Yeah.
And like Marcel just looks quick and decisive with that. And then I don't know, maybe it's just me. It felt like he had more chemistry with the receivers. Like that. I mean, for the most part, they were. He made guys get out. Well, with his. I guess the pressure helped with that because they would send guys and it was easily 1-on-1 or wide open receivers. So I'm curious to see how he does against coverage. I guess going back to that again.
No, yeah, for sure. And we'll see how it looks against better defenses, but you probably won't see a great secondary till maybe South Carolina. And are they great? They're probably better than what we're going to see the next couple of weeks. I mean, I don't think Bowling Green's going to be a major secondary challenge. I think Missouri just showed a major weakness in their secondary versus Boston College, who's probably a pretty good offense, but they were gashed in that game. So they really have an opportunity to improve. You're right. Receivers are playing like an average receiver group right now. I would say over the course of the Florida game, they cleaned some things up. We saw one early procedural penalty. We saw a couple of bad routes early, but I think it kind of cleaned up over the course of the game. However, you didn't rely on that passing game at all, but you had that big jailbreak on the Cyrus Allen play. So that was good. That was a nice route tree on the left side of the field with him and Noah. So room to improve right now, man. And they're going to have to, but you're right. Reed as an added explosive running element, you have to account for that as a defense, man. And with a struggling receiver group, that can help.
It's kind of funny. Like, I think if Connor was on like any other team, I hate to say it because I want him to be our guy with like a good O-line and better than average wide receivers that ran more of a pro style. I thought it's probably why he came to Jimbo, to be honest, because Jimbo offered the pro style offense, and it obviously didn't work out in the end, but it seemed like that was what more worked with Connor's skill set.
Yeah.
And quarterbacks have to OCs try to accommodate the quarterbacks as best they can, but I mean we know Colin Klein's identity. Like he was that way in college as a player, now he's still that way as a play caller. And we have to manufacture a pass game essentially off our run game, because I mean no one's gonna believe like if we're down by 7 and we have a minute and a half to go, that's a test we still need to pass. I'm curious to see what we do in a minute.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it for sure, but it is scary at this point, still an unknown. And like I said earlier, we've only ran, if PFF is correct, 6 play actions on the year so far. So you're building that bank while you build that running game. So we'll see if that eventually pays dividends. They're eventually going to open that play action up because like I said, at this point in the year last year, Kansas State had 26 play actions already done, and we're way behind that number right now. But any closing thoughts, Noble?
I think we have runway for whoever the quarterback is to develop, which Marcel. So I said it earlier, now that we're past Notre Dame, and I feel like essentially it's almost like Yeah, the way our schedule's built up, it's just like it gets harder, with like a break every once in a while. Like we have, Bowling Green, who's not going to be asleep, but we can't. It's going to be a little bit of a trap game. Can't sleep on them, but nowhere near the level of talent like Florida or any other SEC team. But then just kind of builds up, and you'll get Marcel or whoever the reps to get better by the end of the year.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We got to see that progression, and right now I trust Elko to get that out of him. So we'll see what happens, man. But I appreciate the call, Noble. I hope to hear from you soon, as usual, sir.
Always. All right. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for the support, Noble. Later. All right. Last caller before we get into some game film. We're going long tonight. Any of y'all got early mornings? Y'all going to stick with it with me? Let's do it. Theo, you're on with Drew. All right, man. You there this time?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Got you loud and clear this time, buddy. How you feeling, man? Oh, no. He cut out right when he was about to start talking. Theo, this got to be the last chance.
I'm good. I got you.
Okay, I got you now.
I'll put the controller down and keep tapping the screen and go from there.
Okay.
I was saying that I actually feel good. I feel great. I'm starting to see the more layers of Klein's offense being developed. He still hasn't gotten into his RPO bag. I'm looking forward to seeing that. He hasn't gotten into the play action bag yet either, as you've been saying.
Right.
And I'm actually really glad that we hired Cushing because the offensive line looks night and day different.
He's done a great job.
And just in general, it's just this is what I expected when we made these hires, and kept the players we kept. There's still room for improvement, which of course there's always going to be after the first year of a coach, first 3 games of the first year coach. It's always going to be something to develop.
Yeah. And that actually makes me want to say something, because one of the things we feared after Notre Dame was that some of those deficiencies were just part of the team, and obviously we were hoping this Florida game would show us that they weren't. They indeed progressed week to week, and they were able to clean stuff up, and to me, that's what you want to see with the year one coach, right? I mean, they're becoming more confident in each other. Players, that processing speed for the players in the new system is speeding up. So that all is what you need to see in a year one, and we got it in week 3. So if they build on that, I mean, I don't want to say sky's the limit, but the limit is very high.
Yeah. And especially considering that we haven't even touched, I want to say, a good 3/4 of Klein's offense. I mean, from what he ran at Kansas State compared to what he's running right now, we're still in a very, very vanilla stage of his offense.
Very much so. It's mostly just power run, zone run, and drop back passes. And like you said, some end arounds, a lot of motion, but minimal RPOs right now. And like I said, only 2 play actions per game right now. And that's all in the bank right now, waiting to show itself.
And as far as our wide receivers go, I'm not worried about our wide receivers. Because they too are still learning. They too are still developing. They too are still trying to get a feel for what is going on and what is needed for this offense.
Very true. And I think we've seen that really make itself known in those procedural penalties we've seen every game from the receivers. They're still learning. It's a good point.
Yes, very much so. And it will come in time, the more he's able to open up the playbook to be able to get our wide receivers open. Like, there's a lot of switch routes that I've noticed that haven't quite been executed the way they should. There's been a lot of 2 receivers in the same area that shouldn't be there.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that it's just little things that need to be cleaned up that comes with more reps of being in the same offense. And considering that this is the 3rd offense that they've ran in 3 years, it's going to take a little bit for it to be done. I hate to say the offensive line is a little bit easier to deal with in that type of situation, but there's only so much you can teach in terms of run block, pass block, and the techniques of those that are different than anybody else is running.
Right. And even the O-line stuff, I think compared to what Colin Klein has shown before with some of that trap blocking and like the kind of the fancier and more innovative stuff he's done there, he really hasn't gone into that bag either. It's been a lot of just straight power and zone running. It hasn't really been that flashy even on the O-line yet. And they're just executing and playing really strong and just being vicious in their base assignments and base blocks. And that's where you're finding success right now. Because we saw Klein really do some different things with the O-line, pullers to create deception, pullers doing different things than what you're accustomed to seeing, and we really haven't seen that yet. But that could be coming. Oh, no. Did we lose Theo for the final time? Theo?
Not.
Okay, you're back now. You're back now. Start that thought over.
We've only seen it a handful of times as is now. I remember, maybe 2 or 3 times it was ran versus Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We tried to run that QB power where we fake the power with the running back to the left and come back to the right with the QB. But there's still so much more where like he takes the guard and he takes one guard one way and takes the other guard the other way, and it's a complete trap.
Yeah.
And based on how that is read is whether the running back gets the ball or the quarterback gets the ball. And so it's like there's so many more layers to Klein's offense that we haven't even touched.
Absolutely,
and
man. I
kind of feel the same way with the defense. Last week against McNeese, we saw that 3-3 safety look, but it was still like a 4-1-5. You know what I mean? It was really intriguing when McNeese would go to those 5 wide sets. And it's still coming along there, and I still think there's a lot of tricks up the sleeves of both Bateman and Elko that hasn't been implemented yet.
100%. And this team, that's what's so exciting, man, because this team is set. So now that we've seen that this is the trend of improvement, this team can improve a ton right now just by opening that up, getting more consistent in your base stuff, and players just improving. I mean, there's so much room for improvement right now that we know that they're able to get that done week to week.
And not just that, but knowing that we're only 25% of the way in the playbook and still went out there and put up 33 points on Florida on the road without even really touching any of the special plays that we can run and can run, just gives me hope that later down the line, say the LSU game, say the Texas game, when we need something, there's going to be something tricky there that
I know it
is going to be built off of what we've laid so far.
Yeah, man. The play action stuff's not even really on tape yet, man, and that stuff's coming. I mean, there's going to be some cool stuff you see there, including some deceptive pulls and stuff like that. We saw one really cool power zone play with the quarterback on a jet sweep with, I think, Cyrus Allen, and you got Le'Veon Moss as a lead blocker, and then you had a pulling right guard as a lead blocker. I'll show you guys that play in a second. That was pretty cool. I don't know if I've seen power zone run like that too often, but that was a really cool one to look at. More stuff like that will start to come out, and it's super, super exciting.
The double, did you see he pulled it out this week, the running back lead power?
The running back lead quarterback power?
No, it was a
like a jet sweep or like an end around kind of play.
Kinda. It was a 13 personnel. Oh no, not 13. Sorry, trying to remember who it was. Anyways, a wide receiver lined up in the slot. We were in shotgun. Running back was to the left of the quarterback. Wide receiver from the slot motioned into being another running back next to the quarterback. And then we ran power lead with the handoff to the running back, or to the wide receiver who is the running back now.
That was Bussy, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that was a cool play too. And you can manipulate some coverage stuff when you pull receivers into the backfield. So I can't wait to see more of that stuff. That's going to be really fun.
And then Bussy's big run, the 7-yarder that you showed where he kept his legs running.
That was impressive.
that was another little wrinkle where they put the running back in the slot and they put Bussy on the other slot and motioned them in. And then
yeah, that was awesome. I think that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, man, it's just going to get better and better. I mean, they didn't even have to really get into the bag versus Florida, which is an awesome luxury. They just worked on their technique, worked on the mechanics, worked on the toughness. Elko led the opened the presser today, talking about how he was very proud of the strain and fight that the team showed and the effort the team showed. And they were able to do that in their base offense and largely base defense and even a prevent defense at the end of the game. So didn't put too much on tape versus Florida because they didn't have to and they still dominated, which was awesome. But all right, Theo, any closing thoughts?
No, just enjoy the ride, hit the likes, and let's keep it going.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks for the call, Theo. You have a good night.
You too, sir.
Listen to Theo. Hit the likes, y'all. Okay, guys, the calls went long, so I'm going to give you guys the choice. Do you want to go through the whole game? I also have like 10 plays we can go through, a condensed version. Would you rather just go through the condensed version, or do y'all want to go through this whole ass game? If we do the whole game, I'm going to skip plays. We're going to skip through it and stop on the stuff that's worth stopping on. But if we do the condensed version, it'll be like 10 plays I have on my X account. We'll do the condensed version. Jeb called it first. We'll do that. All right, these are some exciting plays that I liked that I highlighted after my watch through. I was able to watch the game on the skyline view, the sky camera, which gives you really, really good view of like the splits and stuff, and lets you really see the interior develop. You don't get a great receiver view, but you can see them like in their deeper route stuff. But you're going to get a really good look at some of the running plays and some of the passing plays as well. Let's see where I can start here. I'm sure if y'all follow me on X, you've seen a lot of these, but I'll be able to talk about them here with y'all now that we're going to look at them on the live show. All right. Let's start with the first opening drive with Marcel Reed. Let me see if I can get this going. Boom. All right. This is a 3rd and long after we've had a penalty-ridden drive, and we're kind of like on pins and needles here. It's like, are we going to execute and finish this drive strong? It ends in a field goal, this drive. But this is where I really started to get confidence in Marcel, because look at how he navigates pressure here. I think this is the play I think it is. Yep. He has an unchecked blitzer. He's hot right away in this play. Right in front of his face. He could either go down and take the sack, get the ball out quickly, or do this. Float away from pressure. Throws back across the field, because I think this is Moose right here. Moose didn't really get separation, but he's able to square up and throw the ball to the tight end in the middle of the field. And this was really the play where I felt like, I know we had that great rush, and he made people miss on that 2nd and 21 play. But this is really the play where I felt like, okay, Marcel is poised, and he can operate this game on the road. Because this is when the crowd was still loud. This is when the pressure of the game was still on. And he was able to do this. So this play was just super, super impressive to me. And that was kind of an indicator that, okay, Reed can run this damn offense, man. This is a quick play. We'll go through this one quickly. This one was a play that I initially thought was just a bust. This is a botched quarterback running back exchange at the mesh point. But look at the blitz here on the right side of the screen right here. Look at how sneaky it is and how late and how invisible it kind of is. And look at how quickly Ratcliffe gets in the backfield. I love this. He's already there. This guy doesn't really have a chance to get him because he's so ahead of schedule and into the backfield in a dart. This guy sees it, and he kind of stops right here. And the mesh is messed up because the running back's supposed to keep running. Quarterback doesn't know what to do. Play breaks down. Tackle for loss. This is the opening defensive drive of the game, and that gets the juices flowing. That feels good. We'll watch it one more time full speed. I love this because I first watched, I thought it was just a bust, but really it was just a sneaky ass blitz, which was fantastic. All right, this is a cool one that just shows your versatility of your running backs. I don't know if he motioned out or if he started here, but Amari was split out wide a lot during this game. And you have 3 running backs that can really do this. You know E.J. Smith, that was what he was known for at Stanford. And you do a quick out on 3rd and 8. Wide open. Grabs the handoff and runs. Good block. Good way to get in the way, Jabri Barber. Yeah, man. You got some versatile backs. You could do this with all 3 of them. I don't think we've seen it as much from Moss because they want Moss in the backfield. But you really can do this with all 3. We'll see more of that as the year goes on. That was really cool. All right, this is just, I'll just watch it. Right here. Watch this. Beats him. Get off. It's so gentle, yet so ferocious. That was Scorton's, I think, second tackle for loss in the year. Third, maybe. We'll just dump truck him. We're not worried about no targeting. We'll just give you a hug and put you to sleep, baby. Get on the ground, son. This is Scorton's world. Oh, this is nothing really. This is Lagway, a young quarterback, not really being decisive. And this is not what Marcel Reed does. But this is also A&M's front seven being pretty damn athletic. But it's also Torin York just talking a ton of shit, which I love to see. Doesn't really have anywhere to go. And look, right in there. Right in there. Get away from me, fish. I love that. They talked so much trash this game. I loved it, man. You want a mean defense. This is on the road, just talking, chirping, trying to get in this young player's head. And a lot of you know this. Shout out to David Franz for bringing this to my attention. They competed in 2020, Willis versus Temple High School. This man's defense shut down this man's offense. And they're still jawing to this day. The smack talk was awesome. Wrong Sanford Aggies recruiting. They just played Sanford. This is just a picture. I like it, though. Let's play a game. Who the hell is blitzing? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Elko and Bateman can do on third down. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 guys that could bring pressure here, and a freshman quarterback. And look at the defensive line setup. You have one man with hand in the dirt. You have Shamar Stewart over here standing up. I think this is Cassius Howell or Rylan Kennedy. Oh, actually, I think this is Solomon DeShields, I believe, because they're putting him in on third downs as kind of a pass rush / ability to drop linebacker kind of player. Kind of like what we saw from Perkins his freshman year. But this is just hard for an offensive line to navigate, man. Because they're going to make their calls, but it's all based on a guess at this point. In this one, only 4 of these guys rushed. But even if you're rushing fewer numbers, when you give this kind of a look, it's just really hard for the offensive line to gain an advantage. This is the kind of stuff we've come to know and love Mike Elko for. This was awesome. I love this stuff. I love seeing this weird defensive line configuration. That was really cool. All right, which one is this? Okay, this is a cool one. This is one of the ones that me and Theo were just talking about. So this is it's empty backfield. You have Amari Daniels as your wide receiver. You have Bussy as your slot over here. You have another receiver over here. And you have a tight end here. It's 1st and 10. And you have the running back, like I said, on this side. But it's not the running back who comes into the backfield. It's the receiver. It's Bussy in the backfield. And he's a versatile player. This is what versatility can give you. He's the kind of guy that can run between the trenches. And potentially, right now they're in a zone look, I believe. I'm not a super proficient on defense. I'm an offensive guy. And even that, I'm not an expert. But you could potentially bring in a smaller guy here and really gain an advantage with big guys on small guys. But it's also just harder for you to scout and figure out what's going on because you do a lot of things. But look at Bussy here with the drive. End up running a power right. And look at this drive. I think it's 6 yards after contact here for Bussy. And that's a listed receiver. That's versatility. That's what you can do with guys like that. Love to see it. And you could probably build a lot off of that kind of thing. You could probably do a lot more than just that. Hey, there you are, Aggies recruiting. I retweeted you there. All right, which one's this? Oh, this was the one that I thought Connor Wigman would make. This is a play that a really, really seasoned quarterback makes, but a more raw passer can't make. And I would still call Reed a raw but effective passer. And he can develop into a really good passer over the course of a year. He just needs experience. But this is a play where he's going to have a hot blitzer off the right side. He's going to have a crosser here, and I think a wheel here. And Noah, I don't know what Noah does, but he's going to be open up here. Or not open. He's going to be up here with triple coverage. But Reed doesn't. There's Noah. So, yeah. He throws the ball deep because he's hot. And he's just going to throw the ball up to a playmaker right here because he sees this guy coming. He knows he has to get the ball out. He's just going to throw it up to his playmaker here. But what a more seasoned quarterback could do is just quickly go through your reads and just find an open receiver. So if he was patient and was able to detect it, you have the crosser open here. But look at this safety. You also have a touchdown at the wheel over here. And I think this is what Connor can do. Connor maybe finds this play if Connor's 100%. So, yeah, that wheel's a touchdown. That guy's open. But he locked in and just got the ball out because he knew he was hot here. Takes the hit. Triple coverage. But it was a safe ball in triple coverage at least. It wasn't a risky ball. But it was triple coverage. Something to watch. Watch his progression right there. All right, what is this? Oh, this is just Shamar Stewart being Shamar Stewart. This is a lovely play. This is a lovely play. This is another third down, I believe. Another weird configuration where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential blitzers. But they run a screen here, a receiver screen to the guy over here. Look at Shamar Stewart. Oh, I just beat the guy that easily. He threw me to the quarterback. This is definitely a screenplay. Look at the recognition. Out there, sprinting. It's a bad executed play, but Shamar Stewart's all over it. And look at him. Look at Shamar Stewart being Shamar Stewart. I think this is his best game as an Aggie. He won Defensive Lineman of the Week, according to the team. Shamar Stewart recognize. Shamar Stewart attack. This is Le'Veon Moss showing his potential. You're backed up. You run a quarterback sneak that gets you like a half yard of breathing room. You blow a hole open right here. Right here. You have great space here. This is probably a 10-yard gainer. But for Le'Veon Moss, this is a 25-yard gainer. Look at him just drag people forward, man. Shout out to this angle, by the way. This is cool. Look at him just bouncing off of people, man. Who does that remind you of? Give me comps in the chat. Bounces off 1, 2, 3. Bad tackling. Rainy game. But you get that advantage in a rainy game, and you use your elite running backs in a rainy game. Just a beast, man. Marshawn Lynch, I love that. I love that. Look at him just bouncing off. I could watch that all day. That's so good. That's so good. All right, which one is this? Oh, yeah, let's do it. This tweet apparently went viral, which is crazy. But it is hilarious and awesome. And it's Emmitt Smith's son. So people are going to like that. It's a run left. This is their Goliath defensive lineman. I thought he was a 400-pounder. He's apparently a 450. We pushed him around all night, which is both sad and amazing. Look, he gets bounced out of there. Nope. Look at that cut and the acceleration. Gains 7 on the play. I love this, though. Look at him. No, sir. Out of there. That's your third-string running back and probably like your 7th option on offense, like the 7th last guy to get the ball on offense. If you can get that from him consistently at like 8 carries a game, couple targets a game, I mean, this is pretty high level especially for a third string. Sees him, stops on a dime, pivot, go. See, I just broke that to you, Aggie's recruiting expert. If you didn't know, Jeff Kent. All right, Adam Cushing appreciation post. I went to Fuego. Oh, this is a goal line play. So we're at 4th and 1. We're going to go for it. I believe we're in no man's land here. I don't remember the part of the field we're on. But this is a very heavy look. You have your offensive line in. You have Dewberry in as an extra tight end / lineman. Look at the split right here. Very close. They're going to run power. And look at the separation and the opening they get. This is a short yard getter. This is not a play that expects to bust. Bussy bustin'. But this is not a play that expects to bust. This is a play that gets you a yard. But look how effective it is. Look at that right there. An alley is formed. Power here. There's a wall right here. There's a clear crease here. You're not accounting for this because you just need a couple of yards. That's beautiful, man. That's an effective short yard play right there. I love that. I love that. That's lovely. All right. This is an interesting play that I want to see more of. This is the kind of stuff we'll see more from Colin Klein. Now, I'm not an X's and O's expert, so I don't know how this play is typically ran. But this is power read, where you run a zone read with a pulling lineman. but they're running it off of a jet sweep here. So you're going to see Cyrus Allen run across the field, get into position. He's in a motion back, and the mesh point's going to be between these two guys right here, quarterback, Cyrus Allen. And they're reading this guy right here. But you're going to have Le'Veon as a lead blocker for this read, and then you're going to have Armaj Reed Adams as kind of a lead blocker, as a puller for the keeper read. Check it out. I love this, man. So, boom. And Marcel's here, and there's a mess right here. This play would have been a huge gain, whichever choice this guy made. We'll slow it down a little bit if I can. All right. So here's the mesh point. They're reading him. And he slides out, which means he's covering this guy that's going to get the handoff. If he pursues Reed, and he's going for the quarterback here, his momentum's going to carry him past this guy, not really give him a chance to make the play. Then if this receiver over here gets his block, you just have Moss getting the safety. And if Moss gets the safety, it could be a touchdown. So that's there. But since he pursues outside, he steps out. Reed's going to keep. Then you have Armaj here. And look at this mess that Armaj creates. Look at all these guys on the floor right here. That was really on the Florida guy for like just diving at Armaj's knees. Like, what are you doing, man? But there's a mess here. This gets to the 1-yarder. I thought it could have been a touchdown, but we didn't get a good angle on it. I love this play, man. I love this play so much. This should have been a touchdown, right, guys? I felt like this was a touchdown. I don't know. We never got a good angle on it, unfortunately. All right, is that all I have? Oh, we have this. If y'all didn't see this, Shamar Turner stole a Florida Gators towel. How he got it, I do not know. But I'd like to believe he ripped it off a player and just put it on right there, covering the crotchular region. Upside down, of course. Gators down. Things you love to see. Put this on that list of things you love to see. Just being a mean ass dude. This defense is mean, man. We got some bullies out there. I love that. This is just an amazing angle of the Cyrus Allen touchdown. I love this angle. Play action. One of 2 play actions we ran on the game. He's just wide open. And then I love Noah Thomas down here as a willing blocker. The cut by Cyrus. Just effort, man. And this is what Cyrus Allen did at La Tech. He was a big play guy at La Tech. I think he averaged 20 yards per catch, which is insane. SB Hustle season, you just say that Marcel needs to slide. He does need to slide. We saw Jaden Daniels survive, not sliding ever and getting destroyed. Noah does play hard, and he's a leader. In this Skycam view, you got to see a lot of the camaraderie of the team, and Noah is absolutely a leader on the team. You really want him to do well. But this is a post wheel route, and you see the post kind of pull a defender in, and the wheel is just wide open. See, there's him on the post. This defender's gone. This guy has no leverage to get this guy. There's no help here. Wide open. And look at this angle that Marcel's throwing from. Running left. Back foot. Just good stuff, man. And we've, like I said, only ran 6 play actions on the year. More of this is definitely in store for us, I think. This was awesome. I was so hyped for this. I was so freaking hyped right there. I lost my mind. This is Albert Regis just being a maniac. Look at this swim move by Albert Regis. 77 right here. Look at Albert Regis bait this guy this way and then swim on him. Watch it. Watch Albert Regis right here. Boom! And look at this. Suplex. Child's play. And look at the celebration. Oh, I love a D lineman getting after it, man. I love seeing a D tackle get feisty. Boom! Just throw him. Just throw him. He had to pull him away from Rylan Kennedy because Rylan Kennedy was pulling him too. They were going to rip this guy in half. Rylan Kennedy was going to end with an arm. And Regis was going to end with the body. I love it. Boom. Just rip him in half. Oh, celebration one more time for good measure. Ooh, I love that. That's like Nnamdi Manabike stuff right there. Love to see it. This is the coverage sack. This is the fish not making a decision. And the athletes in the front 7 making a play. Cassius Howell getting a sack. Look, nothing open. Rush 4. He could run right there, but he's a fish, so he doesn't. Where you going, fish? Where you going, son? Fish. 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 I was so hyped this play. That was awesome. Just, you know, Young freshman, not trying to do too much. This is Shamar Stewart's trademark celebration in the swamp. Chomp, chomp, stomp, stomp. I love this. And this was after Bryce Anderson's interception return. That's the stuff I loved. And here's the interception return. Great play by Will Lee. Will Lee doesn't get the recognition for this play because Bryce Anderson did a good job just seeing the play and getting full speed fast. Also, look how fast Shamar Turner runs ahead on this play. Watch this. Oh, yeah, truffle shuffle. There was a lot of bad effort plays by Florida. It was kind of sad. But look at Will Lee getting in there. That's like textbook coverage right there. Swatting the ball, flies up. He recognizes it. Full speed on the catch. Look at Shamar Turner. Go, 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 go. And this is where the whole team, the recruits are right here. This is the recruits. These are the recruits all in this section right here. And look, they're all right here dancing. All doing their dances. Chomping, chomping. And look at them. Look at this, man. This is the good vibes you got on the road, man. This is how you build a team. This is team building shit right here. Let's look at Shamar Turner turn on the Jets one more time. For Shan. Look at it. Look at it. Go, go, go. Look at him. The effort, man. I get some Michael Clemens vibes from Shamar Turner. Do y'all see that? This was kind of funny. This is not a play, by the way. Some of y'all have seen this. This is the sky cam getting during the review, just zooming in on some Florida fans in the middle of the A&M section. These guys are not happy. Munching on the popcorn. Yeah. Get out of there, sky cam. That's vulgar. And I think that's it, guys. Oh, by the way. There's the...
And Marcel Reed.
You hate to see it for the poor fella. But in a much more real sense, you love to see it. But also, in the first half on that 22nd and 21 play, same guy. Not here. Got him again. Just looking silly. Just looking silly. We're making the other number 12 look silly. While our 12th man is strong. This guy had a long night. He's also the guy that got burned on the Cyrus Allen touchdown. Rough night for their number 12. If you ain't the Aggies number 12, are you really even number 12? She's in College Station right now. But the rumor is Kendall Jenner and quarterback Blake Boast have been seen quietly hanging out. Keep an eye on that. That's it, guys. That's it. That's all I have for you. Hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed looking at those plays with you guys. That was an awesome view. And you kind of trade off when it's on ABC. You get the Skycam view, but you also have to deal with a million commercials. We got a little bit of football in between commercials that game. Jeb, it's a joke, Jeb. It's not real life. It's a joke. I got Jeb. I got Jeb with the old classic. I got Jeb with the classic seen quietly hanging out joke. My goodness, we got Jeb. We got Jeb. Let's catch up with the chat real quick, then we'll call it a night. Fish are food, not friends. Exactly. Exactly, man. We got him good. Y'all say Marshawn Lynch for that Le'Veon Moss. Isaiah Spiller, Keith Ford, some recent A&M. Oh, Marion Hampton. Yeah, I like that. That's the guy out at North Carolina. EJ made a business decision there. He did. He's like, big monster. I'm going the other way. And he gets 7 yards out of it, man. 450 is unreal. Yeah, I know we stunned you there, recruiting expert. We definitely stunned you, man. Jamar Toombs, that's a good one, man. Caden Kent and EJ Smith should do some NIL together with their pops, yes. Javorsky Lane, nice. It's like a mini Javorsky. Bussy busted. That's what Andrew Monaco said, and that was beautiful. I personally thought it was a tutty by Reed. Y'all thought that was a touchdown, too. I thought so, too. I thought for sure he was going to throw to Watson on that play. Every time you see Shamar Stewart with his helmet off, he's just crying or pissed. I love it, man. He's so emotional. He has so much personality. I love Shamar Stewart. What else? All right, guys. I think that's going to be about it. Will Lee is so good. Bryce has to be careful of that early celebration. Could see some refs calling a flag. Refs have really been swallowing the whistle on celebrations. I don't know if it's a new rule, but people have been getting away with a lot lately. Love to see the big boys hustle. Hell yeah. They were all into it on that Bryce pick six. That was amazing. That was so good. Scorton needs some more moments. He's had some moments spread out throughout games, but he's kind of like a feast or famine player right now. Let's see him become more consistent. Caleb says, thoroughly enjoyed this evening. Thanks, man. That was a fun show. That was fun. Yeah, thanks, Shuffle. Thanks, Shuffle. That was really fun. 450, almost as much as me. I'm a crisp 300 on a good day. I'm just kidding. I'm not. You'll never guess. You don't even know how tall I am. I might be 4'11". All right, guys. If y'all could drop a like on the way out. That was a hell of a show. Great callers. Everyone did great. Great chat. Best chat in the college football YouTube world. Like, y'all are great. So much, guys. Great stuff. All right. I just realized I cannot do a live show Thursday. It is my birthday on Wednesday. I'm just telling you why. I'm not like, it's my birthday, celebrate. But I'm having a celebration Thursday night. So I'm not sure the next time I'll be live is. Keep an eye on the X. If anything, I'll have to miss some this week. But I'll definitely make a video to make up for it if I have to miss. But guys, y'all take it easy. Yeah, I'm turning 30, y'all. I'm turning 30. It's happening. It's the big 3-0. So we're going to do a couple nights of celebrating. I think we're doing dinner Wednesday night, and then we're going to some kind of show Thursday night. Should be fun. Should be fun. Yeah, I'm an old-ass man, man. I'm an old-ass man, man. Look, I've been 20 the whole time. I'm about to be 30. About to be 30. Noah Too Wavy, thanks for being here, man. Shan, appreciate you, man. Aggie, man, thank you. Recruiting expert, thank you. Rip it, says Caleb. Or rip me. I'm about to die. I'm already 30. Nursing home gonna be lit. I'm already eyeing some of the honeys in the nursing home, man. Norma. Oh, I'm so just kidding. It's Helene. It's not Norma. I'm 29. Drew getting white hairs. Dude, I'm like, no joke, have a bunch of white hairs. 27, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Thanks, Truffle Shuffle. Have a Gatorade for me. Indeed I will, Gary. When I have a sip of Gatorade, I'll give you a tip of the hat. Norma can get it. Ben turning 41. Look, I don't really feel bad about turning 30 at all. I don't feel bad about turning 40 or 50. Maybe 60 is bad. Found white nose hairs the other way. This has gone too far. All right, guys. Y'all have a great night. Hit that button. I'll see you real soon. Later. Gig 'em.